Hi. Okay, now I want to talk about SOFAS free. And this is SOFAS free as I learned from Chef AJ. Like I said, I think it's her term. On the net, on the internet, there is another dietary term, which is the same S. It's a big S, small O, FAS, which I think means solid fat and added sugars. But I'm not talking about that. I mean, that's not it's probably good advice that SOFAS, but I don't know how they pronounce it. But I'm referring to the SOFAS free as taught by Chef AJ. It's SOFAS. So it stands for salt or sugar. I don't know which one comes first. Let's just say sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and salt. Okay. So basically, I think that would mean no processed food, right? Or food-like substances. That's a term I like, food-like substances. I think that might be Michael Pollan. I'm not sure who coined that phrase, food-like substances. So I want to take those one at a time. Let's put the first one as sugar. Sugar is a very difficult one for me. I really do like sugar. And of course, the S here means refined sugar, because by nature, there is sugar in our food. Our bodies need sugar. Our brains run on sugar. So we mean refined sugar, the white refined processed sugar. That is not healthy for you. It acts as a drug, the same as other refined things like cocaine from the coca leaf. The coca leaf perhaps is not as toxic or as bad for you, but once you refine it, it becomes addictive. And that's the same with a lot of addictive substances. And of course, the whole population is not, an addict. It only happens to a certain percentage of people. But I'm one of those people that once I start to eat sugar, I just want to keep going. I could not ever have, 2 cookies as a serving. Okay, so anyway, the first one is sugar, and that is a difficult one for me. The second one, oil, is actually not difficult for me. I added oil to my food in my 20s and 30s because that's what I found, when I looked up how to cook things. It's like always add, a teaspoon of oil, stir fry, and olive oil and stuff, but it just isn't a problem for me. I could give up oil quite easily. Except of course, when it's combined with sugar. And that is the most difficult for me, that sugar and oil. And here I'm using oil to mean any kind of fat, I guess, like butter or shortening and things like that. Those things combined with the sugar. Oh. But just oils itself, that is not a problem for me. I just use water, I boil things in water, or you can, you can easily substitute water. Okay, the next one is SOF, flour. And again, flour is not something I eat by itself, right? I never take a bag of flour and sit there and scoop. I mean, some people might, very few people, but some people might. That might be a problem. Again, it's combined with stuff. And again, it's highly processed. It's highly refined from what you find in nature. So that's out. Alcohol. Oh, I loved alcohol. Probably still do when I was, my 20s, 30s, 40s. But again, it's sugar, and that's how my body treats it. And my body says more and more. Once I get, 1 or 2 in me, I'm like more. And I can just, go all night until I literally pass out or I'm exhausted or the supply runs out. So that's not something a person like me needs to be having. And the last S would be the salt. Now, salt also is not a huge problem for me. Of course, I like salt. I think it's a natural human like. I mean, of course, we have a need for salt, but I believe we get enough salt in all the other, foods and stuff that we eat that we don't actually have to supplement the salt. We don't need to add it to our foods. And I have not added salt to cooking for years, maybe decades. So that if I do have salt now, it really, really doesn't taste good because a lot of foods out there are highly salted. And especially in Japan, there's a high salt content in a lot of foods and a lot of Japanese food. And again, I was never really big on salt flavor in contrast to sweet flavors. I've always preferred the sweet to salty. But of course, like I said, I like salt. I mean, who doesn't like salt? It gives flavor, it brings out the taste or something. I don't know what it does exactly, but it's good. But we just don't need it, or I don't need it. So that's not too difficult for me to give up, or it wasn't. There was probably a period of, I don't know how many weeks between the time when I did have, like, I use salt regularly on food, especially things like, popcorn, or I'd make the same as I do now, like rice and beans, and I put salt, or of course, soy sauce, because that's full of salt, even the low salt variety. And occasionally I still do like that, soy sauce flavor or the salt. But for now, the more I don't use it and use other salt-free spices, the less that I feel any need or desire for salt. And like I said, if I eat processed food or ready-made food now, I just can't eat it. It's too salty. So that's SOFAS free. However, the other big one, which is not in that phrase, is animal products. The program does not use any animal products. So no animal meat, no eggs, especially no dairy, honey. I don't like honey anyway, so that's not a problem for me. And with meat, okay, meat. Of course, I was brought up on meat and potatoes. And the funny thing is, as a child, I never really liked meat, but it's what we ate. So, I mean, it's what our family had. So that's what I ate. And I think it was 2004. I was out with a private student and her mother. I was teaching English to this private student, and we were out at a place, a yakiniku place, that's grilled meat on the table. You have like a little grill thing, and they give you a pile of meat and you grill it yourself with vegetables. Now the meat is very, very thin sliced, very, very, very thin sliced. And I was just sitting there eating and dipping in the sauce and eating it and eating it. And one piece, I didn't get enough sauce on it. I was eating it and I thought, and it hit me. I said, I don't actually like meat. I've never liked meat. The taste of it or the texture. It was what I was eating then. And the reason I was enjoying it so much was because of the sauce. The sauce was delicious, and that kind of covered up the flavor of the meat and made it easy to eat for me. So from that point, like I said, I think it was 2004. From that point onward, I said, oh, I don't have to eat meat because I'm an adult now and I can choose not to eat meat. However, that was not a big problem for me, to give up then. So I didn't buy it from that time on. And I have occasionally had meat, and here I'm referring to, all kinds of animal flesh, not just cow meat. So it's not a big deal to me. And I feel that meat actually is natural. Well, the thing is, like, usually to eat meat, most people need to cook it. I know there's a lot of, there is raw meat and of course raw fish that some people have eaten, but usually people have to kill an animal and cook it. So it's like there's several steps to get to the food. Whereas like an apple, theoretically, you just go up to the tree and you can eat it easily. And I think that's the best food for me. And I think for humans, but let's just talk about me because I don't know about all humans. The food that is in the form nature made it is the best. So within the plant-based world and within the diet world, the nutrition world, there is of course a huge controversy over, whether you need meat or not, or animal products and all that. And from what I understand, what I've learned is you don't. I mean, there's lots of people who are thriving and who have thrived without meat. And it does seem to cause a lot of problems, physical problems as you get older. People who have populations where meat is a big component of the diet have a lot of diseases compared to lifestyle diseases compared to people who don't eat a lot of meat. And so for right now, because I'm doing this program, I'm not eating animal products. I'm not 100% against eating meat, and I'm going to make another video about that. And the main thing, like I said, because I think it is something that humans have eaten for a while, along with fruits and vegetables and grains. And I think if anyone just eats, an abundance of vegetables, fruits, grains, and then even meat, if you think traditionally, it took a lot of time processing to go out and find the animal and to kill it and to clean it and then cook it. So that wasn't like an everyday occurrence, I don't think. Whereas you can always go out and get the fruit. And I think anyone who eats like that is, that's a human kind of diet. But I do think there is a superior human diet, which does not include that because we don't need it right now. We just don't, we have an abundance of food, which has an abundance of nutritions and fulfills all our dietary needs without causing diseases. So that's what my plan is right now, is no animal products and SOFAS free. Okay, thank you.